Hi, everyone. Welcome to Biblical Hebrew with Mona Balogh. Um, Today is Parasha Va, and let me go directly to studytorah.com. All right, I'm going to share the screen here. And here we have, just as a review, studytorah.com. This is the website that you're going to get all your information from. And go to Hebrew Lessons, and in Hebrew Lessons, download the PDF Hebrew Lessons booklet. So when you do this, you get everything you need to know to get started. You can learn the Hebrew alphabet, you can learn the vowels, why learn Hebrew, and so forth. But this is just a review. If you've been in this class already, then this is a review. So the review here's the Hebrew letters. And there are 22 Hebrew letters. If you want to review, go ahead and do that with me. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Chaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Fe, Tzadi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tav. And as you know, there are, so you can write them out, you can write the letters out. I encourage you to go ahead and do that on your own, please. And now there are Sophite forms of 5 letters, which means at the end of a word, the letter becomes unfolded, as in most of them, or boxed, as in the Mem Sophite. So the Chaf turns into a Chaf Sophite, Mem, Mem Sophite, Nun, Nun Sophite, Fe, Fe Sophite, Sadi, Sadi Sophite. Now, when we read the words out loud, we have certain markings that allow us to read those letters. Some of them have a marking called a dagesh. And when it has a dagesh, it makes the sound hard. So with a dagesh, the beit has the B sound. With a dagesh, the kaf has a k sound, a K sound. With a dagesh, the fe has a P sound. And with a dagesh, the tav has a T sound. And listen to the difference between the hard dagesh version and the soft non-dagesh version. Beit, b, veit, v, kaf, k, chaf, ch, pe, p, fe, f, tav, t, sav, s. All right. And then you've got the vav, which has 2 vowel sounds along with it. The vav as a consonant has the V sound. Vav O with the cholam over it, the dot over it, makes the O sound. With the dot in the belly, oo, it makes the oo sound. Sheen with the dot on the right makes the sh sound. And seen with the dot on the left makes the s sound, as in sinestere, which means left in Latin. So here's the expanded Aleph Beit. Say this with me, please. We're going to expand this a little bit. All right. Aleph, Beit, Veit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Vav O, Vav U, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Chaf, Chaf Sophite, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Mem Sophite, Nun, Nun Sophite, Samech, Oyen, Fe, Fe Sophite, Pe, Tzadi, Tzadi Sophite, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Sin, Tav, Sav. And now the vowels. So in the scroll, all you have are let's go back here. You have just the letters and the words. So this is not too clear, but let me just try and get this a little bigger. But bottom line is, if you're going to be reading from the scroll, you're going to need to know how to pronounce it with vowel sounds. And so here you got Yehuda, Ata, Yudocha, Ach, okay, Achich. Anyway, you can read this. You can read this, but it helps to have the sounds that the rabbis have put in, and that's the Masoretic pronunciation. So Masoretic pronunciation adds to these letters and the words that the letters make. It adds the pronunciation, the ability to pronounce the words out loud. So here are the vowels. The Shava is under the letter, and it stops the sound of the letter. The patach under the letter makes the ah sound. Chatef patach, also the ah sound, doesn't change the sound. Kamatz makes ah, sometimes o or ah. Chatef kamatz, ah, sometimes o or ah. Segol, eh. Chatef segol, eh. Tsere, a. Hirek, eh. Okay, these are all underneath the letter, and then the cholam is above and to the left of the letter, makes the O sound. Vav O, O. Kubutz under the letter, U. And Vav U, U. All right, so Shava, Patach, Chatef Patach, Kamatz, Chatef Kamatz, Segol, Chatef Segol, Tsere, Hirek, Cholam, Vav O, Kubutz, Vav U. And that's it. Now, when you have a yud sound after the vowel, a yud makes the Y sound. So you got the patach yud, I. Kamatz yud, I. Kamatz vav yud, oi. Segol yud, a. Seire yud, a. Hirek yud, e. Vav o yud, oi. Vav u yud, ui. All right, so now you know the letters, all the letters, and all the vowels that you need to know. Now you make syllables. One vowel makes one syllable. A bunch of letters together, if they only have one vowel, make one syllable. So tav, hirek is t. Sav or tav, we're going to always pronounce the tav not as a sav, but as a t. So I'm going to say tav patach, ta. Nun kamatz, na. Shin, hirek, sh. Fe, shava, f. Nun patach, na. Tzadi, shava, ts. Resh, kamatz, ra. The one exception to one vowel equals one syllable is when the syllable ends in this shava sound. So aleph, segol, tav, shava, you can pronounce it either as t or et. And notice it's written as a th. The tav is written as a th, but we're always going to pronounce it as a t. So it's a th as in Thomas, et. Mem kamatz ma chaf sofit shava says either ma che or mach. Okay. Fe hirek fe shin shava sh. So fe sh or fish. Tav kamatz ta shin shava sh, either ta she or tash. You can pronounce it either way, but you'll figure it out. It just sounds better one way or the other when you're actually using the words. All right, so that is studytorah.com. You can go down, as I mentioned before, you can go to the, well, let me just go to the home page here, and you're just going to go to the very bottom and then go to Hebrew lessons. And that's where you will download you'll download your Hebrew lesson booklet right there. Download PDF Hebrew lessons booklet. All right, so now let's go to the Hine. All right, so we're going to do some grammar out of this book. This is called Hine. I've purchase this online from Magnus Press. Okay, MAGNESPRESS.co.il. So in Magnus Press, you can order an online version of Hine, which is what I've done here. And that's what I'm going to be teaching teaching grammar from. And this is called Biblical Hebrew, the Practical Way. It's by Rachel Halabe. Wonderful book. And it is how to read Hebrew practically. So you got all the wonderful, here, let me just get this smaller, all these introductions here. It's a new revised edition. First edition is from 2011. The new one is from 2017, published by the Hebrew University, Magnus Press. Okay, so you can go online and get it one of your own, or you can just go ahead and listen to my lessons. So there are 3 books in this series. Aleph is the first one. I'm going to be teaching out of that. Beit is the second one. It's mostly the verbs. And then you've got what's called a toolbox. Okay, so we're just going to go briefly. I'm just going to do this real quickly, and then we'll go into today's Parsha. We'll go more deeply into the next lesson. We'll go more deeply into vocabulary and so forth. All right, so lesson 1 is biblical versus modern Hebrew. Okay, so here are the basics, not conditioned by the verb. The verb is the center of Hebrew, of biblical Hebrew. But here are the other basics. Biblical versus modern Hebrew, the silent shavah or the vocal shavah. Now, notice these are pronunciation lessons. They're very, very secondary to meaning lessons. When you have meaning lessons, then you understand biblical Hebrew. If you just have pronunciation lessons, it's not that important. But you do need to be able to pronounce the words when you're reading the Hebrew out loud. Okay, then you got the verbless clause, possessive suffixes, vowel change with added possessive suffixes. Again, the vowel changes are not important. You need to know how to do it, but then it has no bearing on the meaning of the words. Subject placement in a clause, where else is a verbless clause on the timeline, and looking up nouns in the lexicon. So that's lesson 1. We'll be doing that next week. All right, so now we're going to go to my favorite online Bible, and this is called, well, that's Parasha Va yigash. Let's go to the home page here. This is called Mechon Mamre. So Mechon Mamre, it has a wonderful list of all the Old Testament, what we call the Old Testament, and if you're Christian, or the Tanakh, if you're Jewish. And then I go to Bible, and I go to Hebrew English Bible. The Hebrew English Bible, according to the Masoretic text, Masoretic means the voweled, marked up text of the Torah and the prophets and the writings. It's the Jewish Publication Service 1917 edition. Be aware and heads up, it has lots of these and thous and shalls and so forth. I'm going to try to modernize that to some degree when I do my translation. Okay, if you do not know any Hebrew, try the Hebrew Bible in English. You can do that, but I'm doing the Hebrew English because you know a little Hebrew. And here is Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's what we're going to be studying. I teach only Torah, these 5 books. So I'm only going to be teaching in these books. But then you have the prophets, a whole bunch of them. And you have the writings, which includes the Psalms. So, but please try and go into the Hebrew English Bible so you can study the Hebrew as well. So today's Parsha is, well, you can see it on the board here. It's Vayigash, Genesis 44:18 to 47:27. Let's go to Genesis, and we're going to go up here to chapter 44, right there, and we're going to go down to verse 18. Now, remember, in the last week's Parsha, which was Miketz, Pharaoh was meeting with Joseph, and Joseph had just interpreted a bunch of dreams from the people he was in prison with, right? The butcher and the baker. And so he interpreted those dreams, but when the butcher got out of prison and went to Pharaoh, he completely forgot about Joseph until Pharaoh now had two dreams. One dream was about cows that came out of the Nile. There were 7 beautiful fat cows, but then 7 ugly, scrawny ones came out of the Nile. And what happened? The 7 scrawny ones ate the 7 fat ones, and they didn't look one iota fatter, those scrawny ones. They stayed scrawny. Then Pharaoh dreamt another dream. 2 dreams in a row means it's from God, or 2 announcements of a name in a row means it's from God himself. Anyway, so Pharaoh dreamt his second dream, and what was it? It was 7 ears of grain that were fat and beautiful. But then out of the Nile again came 7 horrible, scrawny, windblown, and shriveled ears of grain. And guess what? Again, the shriveled ears ate up the fat ears, and you could not tell that they had been eaten. Okay, so Joseph inquired of God. Pharaoh said, well, you're the one who can be interpreting all these dreams. And Joseph said, no. Dreams are interpreted by God. God himself does it. And he specifies that to Pharaoh. And so Joseph told Pharaoh, what you have dreamt, it's the same dream. There's going to be 7 years of plenty when everything's going to get nice and big and fat and juicy. And you're going to have that in Egypt, in the land of Egypt. But then following that are going to be 7 years of famine. Now, 1 year of famine is enough to decimate humanity, or at least to make them extremely scrawny and miserable. 7 years is annihilation. So God knows that. Joseph hears from God that that's what's going to happen. So Joseph tells Pharaoh, and God is essentially talking to Joseph, that store up the 7 years of good grain and plenty. And then during the 7 years of famine, you'll have plenty to share. All right, but people have to come to you. They have to come to Egypt and purchase that plenty during those 7 years of annihilating famine. All right, so then what happens is Joseph was dreaming way back in Canaan, when he lived with his brothers, all his siblings, and all their mothers, and their father Jacob, his father Jacob. He was living with all of them, and during that time, he dreamt 2 dreams. Yes, he did, just like Pharaoh dreamt 2 dreams, and the butcher and the baker had 2 dreams. Anyway, so Joseph dreamt one dream that his brother, the sheaves, 11 sheaves were going to be bowing down to him. Okay, and well, his brothers thought that was creepy, and they hated him for it. But then Joseph came back with another dream, and he said the sun and the moon and 11 stars, maybe it was 12 stars, but a bunch of stars were bowing down to him. Well, this time he told his dad, Jacob, and his dad said, what? Your mother and I are going to be bowing down to you? That's ridiculous. He kept that in mind. But what happened? The brothers got even more jealous, and they decided to kill him. Reuben got in the way, and Judah got in the way of them killing him, of killing Joseph. And instead, what happened is they threw him into a dry pit, not a wet one where he could drown, but a dry pit. And along came some Ishmaelites and then some Midianites. Both of them are children of Abraham, by the way. But they fished him out of the well, and one of them sold Joseph to the chamberlain of whoever he was, some chamberlain, Potiphar, in Egypt. Okay, so now he was a slave, basically. He was this Potiphar purchased Joseph for 20 silver pieces, which is the valuation later on. We'll get to valuations of human bodies, which is creepy for us, but in those days it was perfectly normal. And in the slave trade, it's perfectly normal. But 20 shekels is the valuation for a woman age 20 and up. Okay, a man age 20 and up is valued at 30 silver shekels. because they can work harder. Sorry, guys, or sorry, ladies. But anyway, he was sold into slavery, and because he was such a good hard worker, he eventually became, and he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. Pharaoh appointed him as essentially his right-hand man, his viceroy. Okay, so that is the story. We have the famine. It's the second year of the famine. Joseph is now 39 years old. He was banished or he was taken out of Canaan when he was 17. So this is 22 years later, when his brothers are now coming to him, not knowing that he's the viceroy, the right-hand man of Pharaoh. They have no clue because he's dressed up as an Egyptian. He's all shaved, right? The Egyptians shaved their hair from head to toe. And he looks like a newborn baby, if you want to see a 39-year-old man looking like a newborn baby. Anyway, and he's completely shaved, he's hairless, and he's wearing Egyptian garb. So his brothers don't recognize him, but Joseph, recognizes his brothers, and he sees 10 of them, and they're bowing down to him. Where's the 11th? The 11th is Benjamin, who was also the son of Rachel. So Joseph and Benjamin were both children of Rachel, but she died in childbirth, giving birth to Benjamin. Anyway, so Benjamin, in addition to Joseph, was Jacob's favorite child. Now he knew, Jacob thought, well, my son Joseph is dead, and all I have left, the only son I have left is Benjamin. Well, what are the other 10? They're chopped liver, as far as he's concerned. Pretty sad. All right, so now that's the setup. These 10 brothers are now bowing down to Joseph, as in his dream. All right, here we've got Parasha Va yigash. All right, then Judah. Now here, remember, Judah did try to save Joseph, as did Reuben. Judah came near unto him, to Joseph, and said, "O my Lord, let your servant, I pray you, speak a word in my Lord's ears, and not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even as Pharaoh. My Lord asks his servant, saying, have you a father or a brother? And we said to my Lord, we have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one," this is Benjamin, "and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loves him." Okay, so these three, we're going to now go to the board, and we're going to be analyzing this. All right, remember the word analyze is in the Hebrew, it's din, dalet nun. The word din does not mean to judge, it means to analyze, to figure out what makes sense, okay? You're analyzing something. You're not judging it to condemn it or to acquit it. You're just analyzing it to figure out what's what. So we're going through this analysis here of the Parsha, this din, dalet nun. All right, Parasha Va yigash, Genesis 44:18 to 47:27. And we're just going to sound out the first verse. The first verse, which we just read in Mechon Mamre. Let's sound it out together, if you don't mind. Okay, and then we'll do the others a little faster. Va yigash, and that's the title of the Parsha. Va means and, yigash, he, gash means approach. He, and this is broad present tense. He approaches. Who is approaching? Judah. Okay. A lav. Remember, kamatz yud vav is you ignore the yud. That's just the way it's pronounced. Don't ask me why. The rabbis decided that's what they were going to do. So it's a lav. Okay. El is movement toward, and this vav here, him. So it's toward him. Toward him. Yehuda. That's Judah. Judah. Okay, so Judah is approaching toward Joseph. Va yomer. And amar is convey, and this is broad present, and it's masculine, and he conveys. Judah does. Be, so beit is in, and be is me. The yud is me, in me. So this is an expression. It's a colloquialism, and in me. You'll hear this in dialogue frequently. There's a lot of colloquialism, dialect, slang, whatever you want to say it, in the people being quoted. Okay, so he's conveying. So if you want to put quotation marks here, be in me, Adoni. Okay, Adon is foundation. Adoni with this yud is possessive. My foundation. All right, so my foundation. And here you've got this hirek, so it's pronounced Adoni. But if you're pronouncing, when you're talking to God, when somebody's talking to God, they say Adonai, exactly the same word in the scroll, but instead of a hirek, for my Lord with a little L, it's actually my Lord. That's the way it's translated, Lord. Okay. But with God, you say Adonai. It also means my Lord, but it's with a capital L. Okay, context tells you which one is which. Okay, be Adoni, in me, my Lord. So he's addressing Joseph, who he doesn't recognize, but Joseph recognizes him. Judah, is addressing Joseph as my Lord. Yedaber. Okay, so daber means speak, physically speak. Yedaber is future tense, third person masculine. He will speak. Okay. He will speak. Okay, na. That's a colloquialism that means like now, or it's a little expression of, well, But anyway, he will speak now. Avedecha, or av decha. Eved is a worker, and ha is your worker. Okay, your worker, sometimes translated as servant, but it's literally a worker. Okay, so he will speak. Judah is talking about himself. Judah, he will speak. Weird biblical syntax. Your worker. Davar. Davar, now this is, daber is the verb form, he will speak, and davar is the noun. So a word. Okay, he will speak, your worker, a word. Be'ozne. Okay, you notice I pronounced this kamatz as an O. This is one of the 11 times or few times in the Torah where the kamatz makes the O sound. Be is in. Ozen is ear. Okay, ozen. So remember, if you see the word for ear, the aleph and kamatz is pronounced as an O. And this is a construct. You got the tserei yud, so it's masculine plural of. Okay, in ears of. Masculine plural, ears of. Adoni. Okay, again, same exact word, Adoni. I'm going to say my Lord with a little L, because it's not Adonai. That would be a capital L. It's Adoni, my Lord. Ve'av, and. So al, normally, the aleph lamed normally means pulling in towards, movement towards. But here, it has a patach. If it has a patach, it's a negation. Instead of the instead of el, which means movement toward, or el, which means God, you have al. And so it's a negation, not. And not yichar. Har means to kindle anger, and yichar is he will kindle. Okay, it's a future tense, masculine, third person. Not he will anger. He will anger. Okay, and here you've got another colloquialism. Off, okay, or up, up Ha. Up is nose. And this is your nose. Your nose. Isn't that funny? Har means to, it's actually to kindle in anger. So what did these people see? They saw dragon people burning nostril, fire and smoke out of their noses. So you will not kindle anger in your nose, okay? Or your nose will not kindle anger. Be avedecha, or be avdecha. Be is in, Eved is worker, and the cha is your. Okay, time to use another marker. In your, the cha, worker. Okay, so don't flare your nostrils like a dragon, please. Ki means for or because. Cha cha is like or as. Mocha, or cha is you. It's really, the whole thing is like you, but the mem would be from, like, and from you. So likened to you. And how is he likening him? How is Judah likening Joseph? Ke Pharaoh, like Pharaoh. Pharaoh. So they are recognizing that they don't know Joseph is there, but they know that this person who's all shaven and dressed up like a Pharaoh is essentially like Pharaoh himself. All righty. Adoni, okay, again, my Lord. Sha'al, this is a verb, he asked. He asked. Et, direct object marker. That means we got to have the verb or the subject with the verb connected with its direct object. So what's the direct object of my Lord? He asked who? Avadav. Okay, again, kamatz yud vav pronounced without the yud. Avadav, his worker. So he asked his worker. Lamor, lamed is to, amar is convey. To convey, here's the infinitive of the word amar, means to convey. Ha yesh, ha means the, yesh means there is. Again, Bible syntax is a little weird. To convey, ha yesh, the there is, means ha yesh, this actual, the hey in front of something like yesh means it's a question mark. Is there? So I'm going to put is there. Lachem, to, and chem is you all, plural. To you all. Av means father. O means for. Ach, brother. Va no mer. Okay, va is and here we've got a anachnu, a we, and amar means convey. And this whole thing is a broad present tense. And we, well, we can say it because in context it's we convey, or you can say that we conveyed in the past. Okay. El, movement toward. Okay, here it's actually back to toward. Toward. Adoni, my Lord. Yesh, there is. Lanu, to us. To us. Av, father. Zakein, okay, that's an adjective. It means old. The yeled, the is and, yeled is child. Zekunim, okay, zakan, here we got it again, old. Old ones, that's plural. This is masculine plural. Old ones. Weird syntax, but he's a child. We're talking about Benjamin then. We have the father, that's Jacob, and he's old, Zakein, and he has a child, of his age, his old ages is basically what this is saying. Katan means little. So it's this little child, Benjamin. I bet you he's 6 feet tall and burly with lots of hair. But they still see him as this little bitty guy. Katan. Ve achiv, and again, ach is brother, and achi, and this is his brother. Even though this is a plural, in context, it's his brother, it's singular. Mate, died. He died. Va yivater, and vater means to be remaining, and he is remaining. And he, broad present tense, is remaining. Who, okay, now you got he repeated here. Levado, to his, and vad is self, to himself, or to him alone. It's better. Alone, vad is alone. Le imo, to, M is mother, and this is his mother. His mother. Okay, so Benjamin is the only one left to his mother, but we know it's Joseph too. Ve aviv, and Av is father, and this is his father, and his father. Again, this is a plural word, but we're going to do it in context. His father. What about his father? Aheva, or ahevo. Ahav means to love. If you do it in the, it's the he loved, third person masculine singular. He loved, let's do this first, ahev. And he, Jacob, loved this elderly guy and possessive, him. All right. So hopefully that's all good with the pronunciation and the translation. All right. So let's go back to the Mechon Mamre. We're going to finish off the Parsha. And if you have any questions, please email me. Okay, so let's go back to share. Here we go. So this is what we just read and analyzed, those 3 verses. And you said to your servants, bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes upon him. Okay, again, Judah is stepping forward here. He's taking the lead, and he's talking to Joseph, not knowing that he's the viceroy of Pharaoh. Okay, okay. And we said to my Lord, the lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. Yes, mate, he would die. That's true. Well, at least that's the way Jacob feels. And you said to your servants, except your youngest brother come down with you, you shall see my face no more. And it came to pass, when we came to your servant, my father, Jacob, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, go again, buy us a little food. And we said, we cannot go down. If our youngest brother be with us, then we will go down. But we may not see the man's face except our youngest brother be with us. And your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore me 2 sons. And the one went out from me, and I said, surely he's torn to pieces, and I have not seen him since. And if you take this one also from me, and harm befall him, you will bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now, therefore, when I come to your servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, seeing that his soul is bound up with the lad's soul, it will come to pass, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. And your servants will bring down the gray hairs of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety. Okay, so Judah became he promised his father, if I don't bring my brother back to you, father, Jacob, then I will be guilty forever. Okay, for your servant, Judah, became surety for the lad to my father, saying, if I bring him not to you, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever. Now, therefore, let your servant, I pray you, abide instead of the lad, a bondman to my Lord, and let the lad go up with his brethren. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad be not with me, lest I look upon the evil that shall come on my father? He has a conscience, says Judah, and the others as well. They've grown. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. Remember, Joseph was speaking Egyptian through an interpreter, pretending that he didn't understand Hebrew. So, because he had to go through with this charade to see what his brothers were like and how far they'd come in their evolution. So, cause every man to go out from me. Well, who's he talking to? His Egyptians or the Egyptians. And then Pharaoh, who was probably a Hyksos, and his servants. So, go away, is what he said. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known to his brethren. And he wept aloud. And the Egyptians heard. Okay, these are separate. The Egyptians heard, and the house of Pharaoh heard. Pharaoh was not an Egyptian. He was a Hyksos, and his servants as well. And Joseph said to his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? Okay, now digest this. You're these brothers, and they see this viceroy, this clean-shaven viceroy standing in front of them who has all the power from Egypt and basically over the world. And what's he saying? I'm Joseph, your little brother, your little guy. Anyway, and his brethren could not answer him, for they were affrighted at his presence. And Joseph said to his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. Okay, same word as yigash. Gash means approach. Approach me, I pray you. And they came near. They approached Gash. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. And now be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that you sold me there, for God did send me before you to preserve life. Yes, he did. For these 2 years has a famine been in the land, and there are yet 5 years in which there shall be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to give you a remnant on the earth and to save you alive for a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, a lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hasten and go up to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, tarry not, and you shall dwell in the land of Goshen. Now that's called Upper Egypt, which was actually the northern, I'm sorry, that was the Lower Egypt, which was the northern part of Egypt. They were sort of upside down. So Lower Egypt was the Nile Delta, which is Goshen. And you shall be near to me, you and your children and your children's children and your flocks and your herds and all that you have. And there will I sustain you. For there are yet 5 years of famine, lest you come to poverty, you and your household and all that you have. And behold, your eyes see, and your eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaks to you. And you shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt and of all that you have seen, and you shall hasten and bring down my father here. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. And he kissed all his brethren and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren talked with him. Do you think, well, Benjamin wept. Okay, that's fine. He was emotional. But the other guys, it's like, whoa, he's getting a kiss. They're getting a kiss from this weird being. Okay, they were shocked. And the report thereof was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brethren are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servants. What do you think? The Egyptians were happy to hear this? Maybe not. Who knows? They were afraid of Joseph. But Pharaoh, again, he and his servants were different people. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brethren, this you do, load your beasts and go get into the land of Canaan and take your father and your households and come to me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land. Now you are commanded, this do you, take you wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Also regard not your stuff. Okay, clay hechem, that stuff. Clay is vessels. It's your stuff, basically. Okay, for the good things of all the land of Egypt are yours. And the sons of Israel did so. And Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh and gave them provision for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of clothing. But to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothing. Oh, he's really rubbing in that Benjamin is his one and only brother. And to his father he sent in like manner 10 asses laden with the good things of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with grain and bread and victual for his father by the way. So he sent his brethren away, and they departed. And he said to them, see that you fall not out by the way. Basically, he's saying, guys, don't harass each other. Don't mess with each other. Don't be nasty. Okay. And they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to Jacob, their father. Okay, here comes the big reveal to Father Jacob, who's been mourning for his son since his son was 17. He's now 39, 22 years. And they told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive. Okay, let that sink in. And he is ruler over all the land of Egypt. Let that sink in. And his heart fainted, for he believed them not. Okay, this is the time to have a little heart attack if you have a kind of vulnerable heart. Okay, it fainted. And they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob, their father, revived. Okay. Vatechi. Okay, and was enlivened. Chai means to life. Ruach is spirit. The spirit of life of Jacob, their father, came alive. And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die. Well, I think he lived another 17 years. Okay. He's a lot of bark and very little bite. Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. Okay, he had to go inland a little bit to Beersheba, which is where the 7 wells are, where the pillar, Jacob anointed a pillar, and Isaac anointed a pillar to God himself. And God spoke to Israel in the visions of the night. God came to him. And what did he say? Jacob, Jacob, twice. When God calls out twice, you know it's God. And Jacob said, here am I. What's the word? Hineni. Now, our book, our grammar book is hine. It's the same root, hine. But this is, which means here. But hineni, here I am. And he said, I am God, the God of your father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of you a great nation. I will go down with you into Egypt. God himself is saying he's going to go down with him, with Jacob. And I will also surely bring you up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon your eyes. That's a reference to when Jacob dies. Joseph will close his eyes in death. Okay. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their cattle, their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt. Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons' sons with him, his daughters, his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. Daughters are just as important as sons, or at least somewhat important compared to other communities. These are the names of the children of Israel who came into Egypt. Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanoch, Palu, Hezron, Carmi, the sons of Shimon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Yachin, Zohar, Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman, and the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohat, Merari, the sons of Judah, Onan, and Shelah, and Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan, and the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puva, Eov, Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Sered, Elon, Yachlil. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram with his daughter Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. The sons of Gad, Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Ezbon, Eri, Arodi, Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beraya, Serah, their sister. The sons of Beraya, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 souls. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. And the sons of Benjamin. Okay, he got married and had kids. Bela, Besher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupim, and Hupim, Ard. These are the sons of Rachel, who were born to Jacob. All the souls were 14. The sons of Dan, Hushim. The sons of Naphtali, Jazil, Guni, Jezer, Shilem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave unto Rachel, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob. All the souls were 7. All the souls belonging to Jacob that came into Egypt, that came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 66. Okay, so that's one score is 20, 3 scores 60, 66. And the sons of Joseph, who were born to him in Egypt, were 2 souls, 67, 68. All the souls of the house of Jacob that came into Egypt were 60, and 10, 70. Okay, including Joseph and Jacob. And he sent Judah before him to Joseph to show the way before him to Goshen. And they came into the land of Goshen. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, to Goshen 22 years later. And he presented himself unto him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. Whoa. And Israel said to Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen your face, that you are yet alive. And Joseph said to his brethren and to his father's house, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, my brethren and my father's house, who were in the land of Canaan, are come to me. And the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. It shall come to pass, when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, what is your occupation? That you shall say, your servants have been keepers of cattle from our youth until now, both we and our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Ooh. Because they worshipped the sheep and the cattle and the goats. They didn't slaughter them. They were not for eating, or anyway. So they weren't shepherds. Then Joseph went in and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And from among his brethren he took 5 men, doesn't say who, which one of his brothers, and presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and our fathers. And they said to Pharaoh, remember, Pharaoh was not an Egyptian. He doesn't hate shepherds or sheep herding. To sojourn, they said to Pharaoh, to sojourn in the land are we come, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore, we pray you, let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, your father and your brethren are come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. In the best of the land make your father and your brethren dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if you know any able men among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. Okay, my animals. And Joseph brought in Jacob, his father, and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Whoa! Jacob blessed this non-Egyptian Pharaoh, and Pharaoh loved it. Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many are the days of the years of your life? And Jacob, the kvetch, said to Pharaoh, the days of the years of my sojournings are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojournings. Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Keep Ramses in mind. That's going to become a slave factory. And Joseph sustained his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to the want of their little ones. and there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For our money fails." Joseph said, "Give your cattle, and I will give you bread for your cattle if money fail." Here comes a great money grab by Pharaoh by means of Joseph. Okay, not just money, but everything, possessions, including souls. And they brought their cattle to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for the horses, and for the flocks, and for the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread in exchange for all their cattle for that year, not just cattle, all their livestock. And when that year was ended, they came to him the second year and said to him, "We will not hide from my lord how that our money is all spent, and the herds of livestock are my lord's. There's nothing left in the sight of my lord but our bodies and our lands." Okay, so wherefore should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? We, buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be bondmen unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and that the land be not desolate. So Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine was sore upon them, and the land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he removed them city by city from one end of the border of Egypt to the other end. Only the land of the priests, now this is the opposite, the Egyptian priests, only the land of the priests bought he not. The Hebrew priests, the Israelite priests, were the only ones of the Israelites who did not get land. God was their possession, and they were God's possession. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion from Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them, wherefore they sold not their land. Then Joseph said to the people, "Behold, I have bought you this day and your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass at the ingatherings that you shall give a fifth to Pharaoh." There's the tithe. "And 4 parts," it's actually a 120, it's a fifth, 20%. It's a lot more than a tenth, which would be a tithe. "And 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food for your little ones." And they said, "You have saved our lives. Let us find favor in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's bondsmen." And Joseph made it a statute concerning the land of Egypt to this day, and to this day in 2024, it is a statute in Egypt that Pharaoh should have the fifth. Only the land of the priests alone became not Pharaoh's, okay? Think of Pharaoh being whoever happens to be the king of Egypt today, or the premier of Egypt. Okay, he gets all the taxes. And the priests, who are they? The imams. Okay. "And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the land of Goshen, and they got them possessions therein, and were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly." And that's the end of Parasha Va yigash. All right, we will continue next week with Parasha Vayechi. What's the word yechi? Has the word chai in it, lives. Jacob lived. Okay. I will see everybody next week. Shalom, and questions, please let me know at TorahHebrewSchool@gmail.com. All right, shalom.